Hello, hello. I wanted to just put my thoughts somewhere for myself in the future, or just, someone random that just happens to come across this or whatever. First of all, first of all, this is my cat, Fila. He's a good boy. Did you just hear that? He likes me, I swear. I feel as if lately it's been a constant kind of reconstruction of myself and the things I'm into or the hobbies I'm choosing to sort of participate in or with the people I'm interacting with. It's been a constant reconstruction, building up, breaking things down, um, feeling insane emotions through it all. Which I feel like the older generations of our time, and I'm not going to specify the age range, just older generations of people, older ways of thinking, um, older forms of ideology. They kind of throw you into a stereotype when you have moments of talking about emotion, the abstract form of how you feel about things and how you choose to exist within cultures, the culture you reside in, or more importantly, born into. And I think these sort of ideologies are not necessarily um, con- confined to a specific generation or age. It's sort of a momentous thing that you're kind of born into, just as we are, just as you are. You, you're born into something, and you kind of can see your way out of it, or never question it. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is there's a lot of people who never really question um, the changing reality that we're facing. It's a lot of just complaining, accepting, making yourself small in ways that kind of uh, hinder other people. I mean yourself, but also just kind of puts restraints on other people due to dominance hierarchies that kind of have formed in our world. Too much form of thinking, of expressing yourself, of confining what you're doing in some sort of aesthetic name, uh, culture. I mean, in the mind, the ideology, as we were just saying. What ends up kind of being the most important thing that I find when creating your world isn't. is it doesn't have to make sense. Like, it doesn't have to be traditional in the sense of your family or society or culture. It doesn't have to necessarily be matching or a sort of duplicate, you know, kind of repeating the same thing. Sure, you can. That's what all reality is basic is creating off of other things in a way, repeating. But the thing about repetition is that it has to take form within you, and the repetition is the repetition of your creative patterns within your life don't have to have a belief attached to them to really have impact. I think these sort of conviction, this sort of conviction that a lot of people have in the world, um, the conviction to have a belief and to hold it up in front of people. I mean, I've kind of am working through that, a bunch of different shadow aspects that I'm going through, um, that I've been going through my whole life, and I think a lot of people are. Um, it feels as if the beliefs of I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. That's so synchronistic. Okay. It's literally, I'm getting messages about just drama. You know what I mean? Just drama. Um, People trying to include me in the drama, man. That's so funny. It, it's it's holding up the image in front of other people, but never truly revealing the truth within you. And what I mean by that, it's holding up the drama with other people to almost tease them with their own drama, their own sort of life, and the images that are self-curated in order to kind of create a comparison of competition, or a competition of comparison between lives. And it's all just holding up an image, of just, this is me always. Like, I'm this perfect still thing. I was just writing in my novel that I'm kind of working on. I mean, this is from a character named Sebastian Jones. I won't give you too much, but to my understanding, life, reality, had this timeless aspect to it. Not until language took form, life became frozen in the structure of language. Everyone became bounded to this notion. Images and words substituted the felt moment of the present. I'm not really going to talk about the context of the novel. I mean, hopefully it'll get kind of out there eventually. It's been kind of a really fun work in progress to kind of create a world that I'm not comfortable in, but I feel comfortable explaining, or conveying a message in. But there's these structures of images that have been created through I guess, the exponential growth of language. Because language, I mean, it's birthed everything. in some sort of way. I mean, you could action, true willpower action, of course. But how the aspect of displaying your will, the will of picking up this lighter or this pen, and what I do with this lighter is the will of the will I'm kind of putting through it. Same with the pen. It's kind of what I'm putting through it. It's not the pen doing it. It's not the lighter doing it. It's me willfully putting an action through something. Now, if you hold that sort of notion with language being willfully used in a sort of individual way each time it gets used, you almost you're creating everyday new languages. I don't think language is the word I want to use, but you're creating kind of fractalized systems of communication beyond the kind of first medium of language. Things become other things, and memes form through language, inside jokes and whatnot. But most importantly, the word takes form into some sort of idea, because you take the word the, right? You have the completely isolated, completely able to be thrown into many forms of speaking, of language. It's not until you add, the dog walked out into the rain. It's not until you add the whole collective of the individual, bits of language into the formed sentence. That's the word we use, till the formation of kind of your will comes to fruition, I think is the word. Where the image really starts to get embedded in the mind. So a guy named Marshall McLuhan, I'm not really going to cite or quote him, but he talks about print-based cultures, reading-based cultures, things that you can write and, read and grasp, sort of getting thrown into what is your current kind of usage of mediums, which is the screen. So now there's language embedded in screens, which the screen I like to kind of talk about as sort of what Marshall McLuhan talks about as the global village, kind of this timeless, waking hub of information that is, like I said, timeless. And I explained what I was talking about in my novel, just what I wrote about time. Excuse me. Time is a sort of frozen formation of thought. And it's like when you have a rhythm of, the beats of the drums start, and then the bass, joins in on the drums, and then the guitar drums, and it forms this whole thing. What I'm getting at is picture time, the structure of time as the drums. And, you picture the bass or whatever, whatever instrument, I don't fucking care, as you sort of willfully putting your structure of your mind into time. Now, imagine for me, with me or for me, the aspect of there being no time, and you're kind of being born into this catapult of nothingness. You're in the sky like a bird, completely free. You're not bounded by gravity. You're just in the floating kind of world. You don't even know you're a bird. You're just this thing in the sky, like you're just this. That aspect of life, of reality, exists always. It's it could be named. We could name it. We could try to explain it. And I mean, there's so many forms that do kind of have this structure of kind of throwing you into this noise, and then you're just adding to the noise already. There's no individual sound you're kind of saying. There's no individual hearing. You're just kind of hearing echoes of the sound you're embedded in. I mean, I could name it religion, the school, the idea of time itself. There's many there's been many ways and many nights of many days, many nights of this this sort of realization that I think most of us come to. I mean, I would hope in some way we come to this false checkpoint at night or at day in days of work, striving for money or things or highs or affirmations from other people. I mean, since we are embedded in this language, I think the only reasonable thing is to try to create something new, whatever it may be. I think the way information has been kind of given to you in a way, where the thought behind most eyes are, I don't need to know that. The computer knows it. The electronic knows it. Other people know it for me. So there becomes a sort of stagnant feeling within you, and you kind of do nothing. And there's many aspects of doing nothing. It's there's literally not moving your body and sitting with nothing to do, or kind of what I was talking about earlier, or just a second ago. When you're born into the noise and you're trying to make your own noise, right? And you just kind of add to the noise. There's no breaks of silence to really kind of listen in on something or someone. It's just a constant buzz. How we could create the pause of silence into a sort of reawakening of each individual who experiences this pause, this sort of like, holy shit, this is cool. This is another way. This is different from my life. This is different from what I've been told or, what I've heard on the internet. Moments like those, you kind of just, you can't help but smile. You can't help but feel a little giddy. There's a deep mystery that remains and lives in each of us, that is waiting for each of us to explore it. It's an experimentation with yourself and the world. It takes all kinds, I suppose. Carry on.